You're listening to the Complete Human podcast, hosted by co-founders Janna Breslin and Evan DeMarco. We share authentic conversations about wellness, longevity, personal growth, and biooptimization, along with inspiring stories that encourage community and social responsibility. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Just so you know, we do have a safe word on the podcast. It's cinnamon. Oh. So if we ask a question that's, is off limits, you can say that.
Okay.
But my question is, because I'm going to be honest, I got the power plate and I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Yeah.
Not a surprise there.
Do you know, there's a funny story. So I used to do a lot more traveling when we used to travel more with power plate. And I was flying to Dubai and all over Europe. And after talking and teaching for days on end about vibration training, I remember getting on a plane and this guy said to me, "So what do you do for a living?" And I was like, I do not want to speak to this dude for the entire 4 or 5 hours, whatever. I said, "I demonstrate large vibrators." And he just, the silence that went across his face, and he went like this and carried on. Like 2 hours passed, he went, "I've been thinking about this. I've got to ask you what you meant." It was quite funny.
Yeah, that would not have shut me up. You would have
silenced this man.
Okay, let's dive into that.
Yeah. Well, there's obviously a lot of health benefits to it, aside from the insinuated sexual health benefits that we were just getting at right there, right?
Yeah.
Huge health benefits. Yeah, huge health benefit.
Yeah, we'll need to get into that. Is that where we want to start off?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ready?
Cool. Let's do it.
I'm just thinking.
I meant like the power plate. Like, is that we want to start off with power plate?
No.
Okay,
No.
That's what I was asking. So I was like, okay, I don't know if this is going.
Yeah, that conversation just went. I have no idea what we're talking about right now. All right, let's start this thing and then we'll just figure it out.
Let's do it. Okay, sounds good. I'm ready.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Complete Human Podcast with your hosts,
Janna Breslin
and Evan DeMarco. Before we get to our guest desk, God.
This whole no caffeine thing is not going so hot right now, I will say.
That was the legal disclaimer. What I was about to say is that in an effort to reset our caffeine addiction, we've decided to take a week off from drinking coffee. And I'm functionally retarded.
I am having a hard time. Today's been a day. We're on day 3.
We're on day 3, which is great. So our next guest, which is kind of exciting, right? That's a great lead in. She's hosted TV shows all over the world, works with MMA. We're going to have her introduce herself, but we might have to have her carry this podcast.
Caroline, save us.
Caroline. So I met Caroline, I don't know, about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Year and a half ago, working with a different company, and asked her if she wanted to go to Costa Rica. She said yes. I'm not sure why. Who wants to go to Costa Rica and hang out with Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese?
Who wants to do that?
Who wants to do that? So we all went down to Costa Rica, had an absolute blast, and I think we've been friends ever since.
And that's where you and I met as well. Yeah.
It is.
Such a memorable trip. I mean,
I
seriously.
was just saying to you before we started talking on the podcast, like, was that a year ago? Over a year ago? It was only a few days, but it was pretty life-changing in many ways. For me, anyway. Seriously,
after that trip, I started looking at places there. I wanted to move there.
Yeah.
It impacted me in such a way.
I started looking at training underwater. That was what I was like. Laird Hamilton wants me to hold my breath and train underwater. But yeah, it was an incredible trip.
Very amazing trip.
So I guess that means we should introduce Caroline Pearce.
Yes.
Caroline,
welcome.
Thank you. I am caffeinated. I've been up since 5:30 this morning. I've had an energy drink and a coffee, and I could do with another one, but these two are not drinking coffee.
I'm a little jealous right now.
Hey, misery doesn't have to love company. You can have the caffeine.
Exactly.
I feel bad, but yeah, I might do.
So, for the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, we've been talking about mental fortitude, and that has led us into the next pillar or principle of the complete human journey, which is physical health. And I think one of the things that we were really excited about talking to you about is you can kind of bridge the gap in a lot of those, coming as an Olympic athlete and then going into Gladiator, which I'm so stoked to talk about. You've just kind of had this really interesting trajectory of a career in sports. And then now as you really work with the MMA. So give our audience just a little bit of a background on who you are, and then we'll deep dive some more.
Yeah, sure. So sports been my life. I mean, I ran before I walked, according to my mum. But yeah, I was a track and field athlete in heptathlon, the 7 track and field events. So that's hurdles, high jump, shot put, 200 meters, long jump, javelin, and 800 meters over 2 days. So I couldn't just pick one. I wanted to do everything.
Do them all.
I did them all. So I competed for Great Britain from a junior all the way through to the seniors, national champion in heptathlon, competed, all around the world with that. And then I got the opportunity to try out for the British bobsled team to be the brake woman, the woman, women do 2-man and the brake woman or at the back, and you're basically the powerhouse. You push it and then you put on the brakes at the end. And I found myself after the British trials being out in Calgary, Canada, pushing for the world championships.
That's so cool.
And
Wow.
suddenly going down like 80 plus miles per hour, 5 Gs of force, doing this sport I'd never done before. So despite my years of track and field and accomplishments, people always seem more excited to talk about bobsled, especially because our championships were held where they have cool runnings. Team went down the track. So long story short, I retired with bone on bone in my left knee, kind of at the height of my career, really. I mean, I was in the best shape of my life, posting the best times of my life, but just my knee alignment had obviously been out of track for many years. And that bone on bone, you only really get the pain when the bone hits the bone, when the cartilage is worn. So I had to sort of go through this transition from, well, I'm not an athlete anymore, I'd got my degrees in physiology and nutrition and sports science. So I knew I wanted to stay working in that field and sort of went down this path of my career being very health and fitness related. But in order to get my fix of sport, I transitioned into sports hosting as well. So I've covered everything from World's Strongest Man, British Superbikes, soccer, sports news, and then...
Is that American soccer or...
I was saying it for your benefit, yeah. Football, the one played with the feet that we call football, soccer. And then found my way into MMA and covering the UFC and the now Professional Fighters League, which was never something I ever imagined I'd do, but it's what brought me out to live here in America as well. So it's been a crazy ride.
Wow.
And I went to India and hosted the World Cup of Kabaddi as well.
Wow.
I'd be happy to tell you what Kabaddi is.
What the hell is Kabaddi?
Kabaddi is it's the second biggest sport in India behind cricket. I mean, it's played worldwide, and even America had a team actually at the World Championships. I think they're actually American football players that are trying it out, but it's a mixture between touch rugby and wrestling, played on a pitch or a court indoors, and basically one player from the team has to make the raid, which is, in other words, to get their hand over the line without being tackled. But the interesting thing is the whole time they make their raid, they have to do the chant, which is the whole time, that 60 seconds, they have to go kabaddi, 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 kind of do it whilst running and physically fending off people. And someone's job is to listen out. And if they stop the kabaddi, kabaddi, kabaddi under their breath, they're out, they're disqualified. So
interesting.
What a very interesting.
So I spent 5 weeks in India hosting the World Cup of Kabaddi.
There's certain sports where you just realize, like, okay, that makes sense, right? Like basketball, you're like, I've got a ball, I've got a basket.
Right.
That makes sense. Soccer, I've got a ball, I've got a net. That makes sense. I'm trying to figure out how you come up with this sport. Like, how much alcohol was involved, for 3 guys to sit around and be like, this sounds like a good idea.
Take it so seriously. I mean, and it's very physical. I mean, they throw each other off the pitch. Pitch, court, I can't remember what we call it now. They throw each other off. It's quite violent.
I'm going to have to go home and YouTube Kabaddi.
I know. I know.
It's fast paced as well.
I like it.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you actually make the transition from, an athlete and then going into more in front of the camera?
So that's where Gladiators came in the meantime.
Yeah.
So you have American Gladiators. We had UK Gladiators.
I feel like we need to put in a little YouTube.
Oh, no, we're totally going to do that.
We might
have a little montage.
Yeah, we pulled that up the other day. I was like, oh my gosh. Hell yes.
And your name was Ice, right?
I was Ice. They based it on my winter background of being a bobsledder. So they bleached my hair white. I had these blue stripes through it, this sparkly kind of costume, whatever. And I had to be a baddie. That was kind of my role. They kind of really gave us a character. So I'd finished the first couple of shows and she did great, good try. They're like, no, you got to say something mean. So I was like, don't mess with Ice. But it was so much fun. So anyway, I had this opportunity to be on television and do this. The show was huge. It was on Sky One in the UK, which was one of our biggest channels. We were on billboards. It was like, life had been made. I dreamt as a little girl of being a gladiator when the original gladiators were around. And I was like, I like television. I like this feeling of being on television, and how can I combine my love and passion for sport and this identity I still have as an athlete with television. So I hadn't done a typical broadcast journalism degree. I kind of learned as I went along, and I did some courses and put showreels together, but it was basically just from creating my own shows and using athletes that I competed against as my subject and putting these online series together that I got my first break, which was covering the world's strongest man, which is kind of like always a Christmas favorite.
Janna Breslin here. As most of you know, I grew up playing sports which required lots of intensive training. A couple years ago, I switched to CrossFit style workouts, and let's just say my body has taken an absolute beating over the years. I remember waking up after heavy workouts, barely being able to get out of bed. I always added fish oil to my daily regimen for overall wellness and to help combat the post-workout muscle soreness, but my joints and muscles would still be sore for days. I needed something more than just omega-3 fish oil. That's why I take Complete Human PRM Response. This daily super supplement helps my body resolve inflammation quickly so I can live pain-free and keep training. I've been taking it for a while now and my workouts are better, my recovery is faster, and overall I just feel great. I know we all need a good omega-3 product, and PRM Response is the next generation in omega-3 supplementation with unique pre-resolving mediators that help resolve inflammation quickly so we can get back in the game of life. Head on over to store.completehuman.com to try it 20% off with the code PRM20.
Yeah. So I did that out in North Carolina. The Brian Shaws, who's been World's Strongest Man, Adrina Savickas, and Hathor Bjornsson, that's now Thor in Game of Thrones, and all these
all the Norwegians,
big friendly giants. Yeah. And one, I always felt skinny and tiny because I was like this huge dude. But it was super fun. And then I did the Strongman Champions League. And then my kind of break came when BT Sport launched as a network in the UK, 2013. And my motto has always been say yes and learn. So when they said, we've got the rights to the UFC, and they came to me and my agent to see if I'd host their weekly live show on the UFC, they're like, she knows about UFC. I'm like, yeah. I could name 2 fighters.
But UFC, what is that?
And Georges St. Pierre. But you know what? One of the things, I just study my ass off and I just watch tape, whatever. And it was a hard beginning. The fans are not very forgiving. They know, they're like, who's this blonde chick talking fight suddenly? But yeah, I just became a huge fan. And from there, it just grew and grew, from coming out to America, working for UFC Fight Pass, working for Fox Sports, covering it for BT Sport in America, and now hosting the Professional Fighters League on ESPN. So it's this sport that I knew 2 fighters.
That's crazy.
Kind of like shaped my life.
Yes,
yeah.
and learn.
Yeah.
I kind of want to adopt that.
Yeah.
No, you need to adopt
that. Say yes and learn.
I know, I was waiting for that. No, that's great.
But I remember the first show, they always say, like, you need to be above the water, you're a swan. Like, you got to carry this show, but underwater, pedaling like crazy. Like, just my brain trying to like fetch all these names and what I'd remembered, whilst people don't realize when you're hosting live television, you have voices in your ears, literally. You've got someone counting you into commercials and in and out of VTs. You've got your director talking to you. You're hearing the cast. You're hearing the cameraman. Like, there's a lot of stimulus going on, and all the fancy is what comes out of your mouth. So navigating that to begin with was,
I could imagine.
It was tricky. But once you know your subject, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Once you know what you're talking about.
Oh, man.
Yes, well, and fighting is a little bit different, I think, from traditional sports. You can, you look at color commentary after, it's like, how did you feel about this? There was this play. But, I think with fighting, you really have to understand not just the opponents or the athletes, but the sport itself, because it's so dynamic. It's such this crossbreed of, fighting, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, all of these different things. So now, have you actually trained MMA?
A little bit, yeah. Especially in the beginning, I the same. I was like, I need to know what this feels like. I need to know how to do the submissions. So I did some jiu-jitsu, and I actually, when I was in Thailand, went to Tiger Muay Thai and did some training with the pros out there when I was on my vacation. And
so after the podcast, can we film you and Janna fighting?
on the power plate.
On the power plate,
the power plate, yeah. I think we can arrange that.
I'm not sure that's...
We'd have to get
I've
real
seen
close.
Janna CrossFit though, so I'm pretty scared. She can throw some serious weights around.
I'm just curious, if you put it all on the power plate, you guys are going to have to be very close.
We are. I know.
Well, actually, we can...
I'm going to let them talk for a moment. I'm just going to...
I look over and I just see the thing over there, and I'm just like waiting for something to come out of your mouth.
Yeah,
Am I talking about this yet?
No. We'll bring that up.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Anyway, there's a reason for this.
There's a reason she's got a large vibrator on her desk.
Yes.
As we talk about these 2 on a power plate.
But you know what was interesting, what you said about fighting being different? It is. So one reason I think I feel I've been successful is that I know the mentality of an athlete. I know what it feels like to win, to lose, to know that this is what you've been working for the last year or your entire life and career. So I actually feel very privileged, and it's also very difficult that when someone has walked out of that cage and they've either won and it's easy and they're elated, or they've lost and you're doing that interview, and it's realizing that you've got the privilege to be the first person to talk to these fighters, you know, whatever that's meant to them and whatever. Their families there, you've been speaking, interviewing the family and, you know, people all week as well, the coaches. So you feel very honored to get that raw emotion that's not necessarily there the next day when they're doing an interview or whatever. Yeah. But also I feel I can relate. I can kind of feel it. So I get so nervous for my job, and not really because of what I'm doing, but just I feel the nerves of those athletes about to go out and perform.
Right.
So I want to take a step back and talk a little bit about something you just said. And as we transition from our position on mental fortitude and how important that is in success in life, talk a little bit about your mindset as an athlete. Talk a little bit about, you know, what it is that, you know, you had to go through to become the, you know, kind of the high performance athlete that you were. And then how do you take that into your normal life as a broadcast journalist?
Yeah. My mindset's always been winning, competition, being better. And it's both a blessing and a curse, I think. I think you'll be able to relate to that. So for me, it was always, if I'm working harder than everybody else, if Christmas Day I'm climbing the fence to the track to train because no one else is doing it, that's going to make me better. It also ended up biting me in the butt because I trained through injuries and things like that, thinking that, you know, I couldn't ever let up. And it's what led ultimately to the decline in my career. But I've always just had that mentality that work hard, don't cut any corners, you know, win at all costs. And there's also a little bit of selfishness that's required to do it as well. You do have to put yourself first. You do have to sacrifice a lot. You know, I wasn't necessarily partying and doing a lot of those things when I was competing for Great Britain and wanting to follow my dream. My dream was always to be an Olympic champion. That didn't happen, but I reached a high level. You know, I competed internationally, world championships, European championships, etc. So that mentality, I feel like I've been able to take into the workplace because I'll do the same thing. I'll keep pushing, I'll study, I'll learn, I'll make sure I'm the best, I'll make sure I'm prepared, etc. I'll put my career first, all those kind of things. But the downside in your personal life maybe is that you may be still a little bit single-minded and so forth. Because I was in individual sports, bobsled, track, you've not got a team to rely on, you've not got that kind of team feel. It's very much kind of you. So that mentality it's definitely seen me through. It's meant that I've pushed the boundaries, and I never doubt that I can do something. I think that's sort of part of it as well. I always believe I can do it. And I guess it's the same as that say yes and learn. It's like, I believe I can do it and I'm going to find a way to kind of get it done.
I think that was so obvious in Costa Rica, and watching you two as well as Chadi and Whitney, it was just pure will in the pool. Like, you know, they're having us swim underwater with weights and do some of those crazy things. And I was watching you guys more because I didn't want to do anything. But yeah, like just that mentality. And it really goes to show you that to excel in anything, whether that's sport, whether that's life, it's that, yeah, I'm going to do this. There's that kind of that mentality of like, yeah, screw it. Let's just make this happen. Do
you know what? For me, though, it's the same for you. It has to mean something to me, though. I'm not competitive in everything I do. Yeah. You know, if we're playing a game of cards, I don't really care. I'm not like that. But if it means something to me, and you know, Costa Rica, you know, the things we did from swimming underwater with dumbbells, holding our breath, and all those things. It was the first time in a long time I'd felt like I was pushing myself with something, that I was a little bit out of my comfort zone again.
Yeah, I was way out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. Because water, I used to swim when I was a kid, actually swam county level, but haven't really swam as an adult other than aqua jogging when I'm injured because you can't run on a track. They put a belt on you and you sprint in the water. But yeah, it was the first time I felt like I'm not the best, or not that it was a competition, but I'm not.
No, it was a competition.
Maybe it was. I'm not accomplished at doing this. So I felt that challenge for the first time in a long time. And I think that's why I came away from it with this sense of feeling like I wanted to push myself again in a different way.
Yeah. Well, it was something new. I mean, I don't think any of us have really trained that way. It's not common to train with weights underwater, holding your breath. I mean, that was challenging. I know all of us left that trip saying, wow, we want to integrate this into our own training back home. And I know I did a bit. And I know you were saying that as well.
I did. You know the drill we had to do where we had the dumbbells by our side and we were doing the squat jumps. So you go underwater and as you have to get that breath at the top before you go down. I remember there was one time I didn't quite get high enough. So I didn't get my breath by the time I went down again. And I had that feeling like, oh my God, I don't know if I can get back up again. I hadn't taken the oxygen to be able to power myself back up again. So, but that stuff I thrive on. I love feeling and this goes with work and physical and training, I love feeling uncomfortable and like I'm being challenged, or I maybe won't be able to do it, but I'm going to see if I can prove that I can.
Awesome.
I don't know whether I'm having a midlife, but I decided I wanted to get some roller skates. I haven't been on roller skates since I was a kid, and I used to speed skate. Obviously I was competitive.
Like roller skates or roller blades?
Well, I debated this for many weeks. I was like, do I get blades? Do I get skates? I was thinking skates are kind of quite retro. They're kind of back in style, but blades, I was like, I don't want the stopper on the front, the stopper on the back. Anyway, so I get my skates. They're actually the wrong size, so I had to wait again for the right ones to come. So I thought, okay, the idea was I was going to roller skate down from Venice to Santa Monica. Like, as a girl growing up in the UK, this would have been something I'd visualize one day.
Yeah.
So
you're like a white snake video.
But I thought I'll kind of just practice around where I live to begin with. So there's a lot of hills where I live. So I was like, okay, I went left and I thought I'll get across to Doheny because there's the Beverly Hills Flats. I want it to be flat. But in order to get there, Doheny is like this. So I turned the corner and I was like, okay, I just have to go down a short while and then I can get across a very busy road to the flats. And I started skating. I was like, I don't know how to stop. And I'm gathering speed, like so much speed. And I was trying to drag the stopper, which was just hitting the curb, like the uneven pavement, going, blah, 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 blah. And I was just going so fast. I was like, shit. I was like, I literally don't know how to stop. And I was pretty freaked out at this point. And I'd probably now gone 200 meters. So I grabbed these railings of this house I was spinning by with both hands like this. And obviously it spun me. I went tumbling down to Doheny, like really quite far. And I just sat there and I cried. I was just this emotional feeling that I was not capable. I couldn't do it. And I couldn't get back up this hill. And I'd sprained my wrist, my rib. I can only just laugh again after 2 weeks where I probably pulled an intercostal or whatever. Well, anyway, I had to take the skates off and walk back with them in my hands because I was so defeated.
I know, so defeated.
Wait, how long ago was this?
2 weeks.
Oh, geez.
This is 2 weeks ago?
Oh my God, 2 weeks ago. But the worst thing was I'd gone past all these builders that had wolf whistled, go girl, all this kind of thing on the way down. And then I had to walk past them all with the skates in my hands.
That's a walk of shame.
It was a walk of shame. And I got in and I haven't been back on them since, but I need to get back on the horse.
I don't know if
you think it's bad walking home with your high heels in the morning?
Yeah.
Walking back up the hill with roller skates on, that's bad.
I think I was like 10 years old and I was walking my Doberman on roller skates outside by myself and he saw a squirrel and I did not let go of the leash for some reason. And I think I still have a scar on like the bottom of my chin from the concrete, but oh my God, I feel you.
So I go back and I go to YouTube, how to stop on roller skates going downhill. And there's actually a cool maneuver you do, but I don't think it would have worked on the lumpy ground. So, yeah.
Wow. So, so you talked about your injuries with your knee. I wanted to ask you what you've been doing to either help it. How is your knee now? Have you helped it? Is it healed? Have you done anything to encourage a healing process, or is it
a little bit?
If it's just bone on bone, that's it, right?
Yeah, there are things they can do. So when I first had the injury, I did the typical, they sculpt, they clean it all out and whatever. And that was many years ago. But since then, it was either microfracture or like a cartilage grafting were the options. And I was advised at the time that neither were advanced enough to guarantee that you're necessarily going to have great results. And what happened, I tried to continue to compete for a while. And then a good year or so passed. And I got to that point when, I'd finished my studies and it was like, I need to decide what I'm doing with my life now. Do I keep trying to rehab this thing and see if I can get better, or do I move on to the next stage of my life, which was what I chose to do. But in terms of, to be honest, it's just been management. I've been looking at stem cells. I've been looking at, other options, PRP, that kind of thing. But to be honest, I've done some acupuncture. They say you just have to keep your VMO, that area there for people that don't know, on the inside of the knee, strong enough. Like they're saying, like rugby players and football players with complete bone on bone can still compete to a high level if the muscles around the knee are strong enough that it protects that impact. So the muscles kick in before the bone grinds any further. So I live with the pain daily. It's just become normal to have pain in my knee now. And sometimes the bursa at the back flares up and that's like a secondary problem. But if you drain a bursa or remove it, it comes back. So it's more just been management, to be honest. And yeah, it does. I can't run anymore. Running was my passion. I can't.
So you tried roller skating?
So I tried roller skating. I was thinking it would be a great way to do some non-impact cardio. But actually power plate was what I went to when I first had this injury and I was doing all this regular rehabilitation. I was maybe early mid-20s and someone said, have you tried vibration? Have you tried this power plate? And I didn't know what it was. And I was at the point when I thought, well, anything that helps at this point, I want to be able to get better. So power plate was being sold out of Harrods, the department store in London. So I went along to try it out, and I did my typical rehab exercises, such as the single leg balances and all that kind of thing with the vibration. And I felt this deep and intense pain in my inner thigh, my adductor, because basically that muscle had atrophied and worn away so badly because I wasn't recruiting properly because of the knee injury. And using vibration, I felt this intense stimulation in that muscle. It was like it had woken it up. And I've since gone on to learn that power plate stimulates automatically a much higher % of muscle fibers than you can achieve conventionally. So I just thought to myself, and I learned about it, and it fitted with all the physiology and biomechanics that I'd learned through my degrees. And I was like, wow, this product's interesting. And I wasn't long out of university, so I got involved, and I said, I want to get involved in the research with this company. So because the company was very early days, I was involved in the research. I became one of the master trainers. I was traveling all around the world, teaching accredited courses, working with athletes, working with physios on how you can rehab using the product. And, 15 or so years later, it's still a huge part of what I do. And I've been able to work with everyone from elite athletes with it, like myself, for rehabilitation, people with disabilities, and people that just want to lose weight and get fit and help to reduce fat. So
it's funny we're talking about this, and obviously PowerPlate has been kind enough to sponsor this episode. So we'll offer a discount code at the end of the show for this. But I remember seeing you like on your social talking about it, and then I remember seeing one in like Equinox in Santa Monica or Marina Del Rey. And it's one of those things you look at, like, okay, it's someone standing there shaking.
It's not intuitive.
It's not intuitive. You're like, okay, like I'm at the gym to work out and someone's just over there shaking. Like it's, and it kind of reminds me of the old, like they used to have these like camps, like these retreats for rich people on the East Coast, and they'd hook them up to these machines where they would shake. And that's all I could think about. It was like, it was a throwback to like these 1920s.
Oh, like the belts?
Yeah. Well, the thing with power plates, you see people standing on shaking. The funny thing is you actually don't see any movement. So from a distance, someone's standing on it in a position and you actually just think, what are they doing?
Yeah.
When actual fact, that vibration stimulating their muscles contract and relax.
And so,
30, 40, 50 times per second. It's insane. Yet you're just looking at someone standing or moving on a machine.
Yeah.
So that's why the education role has been so important, because it's when people learn how many things it does and the benefits you can get from vibration, which is a completely natural phenomenon. Everything vibrates. In fact, you can hear me due to vibration waves, see me due to vibration waves.
Absolutely.
It's not an alien concept. People are blown away with the number of things it can do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so when we got our power plate, I was kind of skeptical, and then you turn it on, same thing. You're like, okay, where's this been all my life?
Yeah.
And feels good, huh?
It does. And it was like, I did 20 push-ups on it one time, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm wiped. I used to be able to do like 100, no problem. I'm like, I just did 20 push-ups and now I need to curl up in the fetal position and suck my thumb.
But that's it. We'd say, especially if you get big burly people that, know they're fit and strong or whatever. And it's like, okay, I just want you to hold a squat for 60 seconds. Hold a squat for 60 seconds. And you can see people start shaking because it's working your muscles so much more intensely in such a short period of time. That's the thinking behind it being in a reduced period of time, you're getting the same, if not greater benefits than you would with an hour's worth of work, whatever the comparison might be for what you're doing.
Absolutely. And I felt it too. I've done sit-ups on them too. And it's like, oh my God, I was sore for days afterwards. Just insane. The first thing I noticed, because you kind of, you get this thing and you try it out and you stand on it, you're like, wow, my brain is itching. My ears are itching. Like what is this weird sensation I'm feeling in my head? But you kind of get used to that. But what I noticed too, and I mentioned this before, but I had like some sinus issues, and all of a sudden I just feel like my lymph nodes and like everything's just draining down. And I'm like, this is so disgusting, but also thank you. Like this is so
well, you know why you get the tingling? So when people try it for the first time, you see them doing this on their nose all the time. It's increasing your blood flow so rapidly. Is that not as in you're getting your heart rate elevated unless you're jumping around, but that muscle pump action around the body. So it goes to all the tiny capillaries. So your fingertips, your nose, your ears, you'll feel that kind of tickle. You get used to it and it lessens, but people just start doing this because the blood flows increase so rapidly.
So it is the blood flow.
So it's increased blood flow, which has that knock-on effect of increasing your lymphatic flow and lymphatic drainage, which is so good at getting rid of toxins and, like say, helping clear the body as well. So its actual use is very much, we say prepare, perform, recover. So prepare faster, perform better, recover quicker. It's kind of like the 3 pillars of what we talk about. So you get on it and you when people say, well, what do I do on it? You replicate what you do on the ground on the platform with vibration to accelerate all the benefits that you'd ordinarily get. So say you want to do a hamstring stretch. You do it on the ground, you're holding a hamstring stretch, great. You do it on power plate, that vibration's increasing the blood flow, which warms the muscles. Warmer muscles are more pliable, more stretchy, switches on the Golgi tendon organs responsible for that stretch reflex as well to accelerate that flexibility more as well. We do a really good test where I say, stand on the floor and touch your toes. People go down as far as they can. Then do 30 to 60 seconds on power plate, holding that same position, and go back and do it again. And you see an instant difference because of those 2 reasons. So, and it just feels good.
What are you looking at me for?
You know I'm looking at you.
Why? No.
Evan needs to work on his flexibility.
Okay.
He needs to be a little more flexible. Have you heard about this study? What is the study where it's like, if you're sitting on the ground and you can get up without using your hands, just using your legs and your muscles, it's a indicator of longevity or something.
You're
what was
5 times more likely to hit your 80s, I think is what it is.
Okay.
something really interesting. And so that's been a little...
Why do I want to do this right this second?
Right, to test
I'm like,
it
I
out.
can do
There's
that.
the mental fortitude.
Right.
But I'm the same way because I'm like, oh, that should be easy, right? And it's, I can do a squat, I can do a push-up. I've prior to COVID, I was relatively in decent shape. Now I'm just, who knows? But I sat down, I'm like, I can't do it.
Oh, you couldn't?
I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
And it's
See, I'm the same. I'm assuming I could do it maybe. But it's mobility
It's
as well,
mobility,
isn't
yeah.
it? It's not just strength.
That's why I looked at him when we said that. Because
when
it's the
You need to get
mobility.
on this power plate. You
well, no, and that's so
He has been.
so I started doing it, and that's been the funny part, right? Because like prior to that, if I were to bend over and touch my toes, it would be the equivalent of like stepping on a dry branch. Like that's how unflexible. It's just like crack. But yeah, it's like hamstring stretches. So I have noticed a significant difference.
Yeah.
In it. It's really fascinating, and I love it from the lymphatic drainage. So drink my coffee when I was drinking coffee.
and flush out the toxins.
No, I do that and then go stand on the power plate, and it was great. But the best one, and I absolutely love this. So I talk a lot about brain-derived neurotropic factor when it comes to education and how our diets, our exercise platforms, especially for kids, do not lead to great education. So I've got my daughter doing flashcards of sight words while she's doing squats on the power plate.
Isn't that great?
It's awesome.
My childhood didn't look like that.
No, it totally did.
But I like it. It sounds good.
Yeah, it's a completely different childhood than what we had, but it's great. She loves it.
Yeah.
That's great. And you know what? When people say to me, well, how about, getting fit, strong, whatever, how does that work on power plate? That's like the perform element. And do this with me now. So put your hand on your chest. Okay. So this is regular training. Tap your middle finger. Okay. That's conscious muscle contraction. Okay. How fast can you do it? Okay. With power plate, whenever you get on power plate, it's a reflex contraction. So pull your finger away and let go. How much faster and more powerful does it move? So
wow.
So the concept is that it's this reflex. You stand on power plate, okay? The muscle spindles detect the vibration. They send a message through your central nervous system to the muscle to contract and relax. So it's a reflex contraction, which is why the muscles contract more powerfully and faster than you can do conventionally. So that's kind of the principle behind the accelerated training factor we get with it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That made me think of that scene from Dirty Dancing where he's like, put your hand on my chest. Don't.
That as well.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh.
You've never seen Dirty Dancing?
Don't hurt me.
Okay, so we've had a serious movie
I know.
education. Like,
I don't watch movies.
But not as a kid? Like,
I just don't think I pay attention to at the same time.
baby, go into the corner.
wow.
I know I need to.
That was
maybe
lost
watch
on
that
you.
one.
That was totally lost on you. We got you to see Goonies though.
Yeah, I saw Goonies. the other day.
Princess Bride, you've seen that one.
Oh, yeah.
The Karate Kids.
Pretty Woman? Please tell me you've seen Pretty Woman.
Mm-mm.
No.
No, I know.
Wow.
I have a problem.
I used to want to be Pretty Woman. My mom was like, my grandma said to my mom, she's a prostitute.
Yeah. And so here's my issue with Pretty Woman, right? Because it's the quintessential love story, but it's all of these women, who are pro love story forget that yes, she was a prostitute and she was giving $20 blowjobs to Shriners the week before.
Yeah.
Nobody.
That was a happy ending.
Pause for dramatic effect.
Do I really need to see the movie now?
Clearly.
I can recite that movie as a kid. It was my favorite.
Great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Anyway, so I like the
That's a
Yeah, I know. Like, how do we just?
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, kind of, all the stuff that PowerPlate has. You've got this. Can we see this? Can we see the vibrator?
So we've been talking about whole body. PowerPlate machines are whole body vibration. Okay, whatever you do on it, that vibration stimulating muscle contractions, etc. But we brought out not long ago our targeted vibration devices. So this is a percussion device, which I can actually say Mark Wahlberg is one of the biggest fans of our PowerPlate.
Marky Mark.
Marky Mark, yeah. This is all over his Instagram. So we do the
How funky.
the pulse, yep, and we do the vibrating roller and the vibrating dual sphere, which is like a peanut shape as well, all for assisting with recovery. So
I want that
take
peanut.
take a look at that.
Let's see if that works. Why don't you do me?
Okay.
And then
Excuse me. On camera?
Press the on in no, behind it at the top. Press the
thing?
middle. Press the middle.
power button.
So you press it once for level 1, twice for level 2. There's 4 settings.
Do you believe in life after love after?
That's my favorite attachment. It actually comes with 6, but I like the kind of small ball.
Yeah. How's it
I've heard
feel?
that about you.
I knew you would say something. Turn it up a bit for him as well.
I'm not sure if the
Press it
jaw
again
is
in the middle. Press it again. There we go.
Oh,
Goes
wow.
up to level 4. It's actually the quietest one on the market.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, the longest battery life as well.
Can you hear that in the? Okay. So we couldn't do this for the entire podcast. Okay.
My turn.
So self-massage. Yeah, self-massage, just great tool for post-workout.
Oh.
I fly with it sometimes just to like do when we were allowed to fly long distance, to do my lower back when I've been sitting for a long
you
time.
pull-
They don't think it's a weapon.
I got it here to Sacramento.
That's a good point.
I actually did think that. I thought, I hope they don't search my bag, just wondering what it was. But
Yeah.
fine.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah. Just a great self-massage, great way
Totally.
to get loosen the tight fascia around the muscle and stimulate blood flow, and
So how long do you do this for?
however feels good.
Okay.
But
So-
you normally, a couple of minutes before training, just get that blood flowing to specific target areas, or
So you could go in the, go in the bedroom, put on some Barry White,
whatever you want to do.
Jeez. So what we've been doing is I'm gonna just cinnamon. I'm just gonna say cinnamon.
You've never said cinnamon before.
Yes, I have.
That's true. You have.
Yes, I have. I've said it many times, especially around you and this show, I swear. So what we've been doing is we've been using the power plate, and then we'll go straight into the sauna or straight into our workout. So we like to do like kind of the warm up. You kind of warm your system up. And then I feel like using it before the sauna, you're kind of loosening up, kind of just like getting everything moving, and then you sweat it all out.
Yeah, it's a good combination.
Or before workout.
One thing you haven't done that we talked about in the car is the massage component with power plate as well.
right.
So everything we've been doing on it, or talking about, has been active, like holding a position, moving dynamically through, even doing powerful explosive exercises and landing. It moves in 3 different dimensions. Well, that's why it recruits so many muscle fibers, is you're working against this instability. But to just lay your body parts on it, so your outer thigh, inner thigh, calf muscles, that passive absorption of the vibration is what really flushes out like the toxins, that lymphatic flow acceleration, etc. So when you've done, pre-workout, do your workout, and then go back to it to massage afterwards, that will just really then flush out any lactic acid and
It's
and
kind
other
of amazing
byproducts.
how much it can be used for.
I
I mean, warm up, training, massage, lymphatic drainage. We've heard, I even saw on the website like cellulite reduction as
Yeah.
well. Like, I mean,
Well, that links into the lymphatic flow. So cellulite's a complex, unwanted thing for many people. It's basically fat that's accumulated in a pocket that's got a tight, restrictive, connective tissue around it. It can be genetic. Skinny people have cellulite. It doesn't discriminate, and can be very difficult and stubborn to get rid of. So whenever you've done a hard workout, as a woman in particular, if you put your hands on your thighs and it's still cold, so you're sweating, you're hot, but that's still cold in the area, it just shows that blood flow's not able to get into that area.
Right.
So one thing we do with power plate is the outer thigh massage, and that helps as well with the pulse that you just had there. And you specifically directly stimulate that area, and it's going to get that blood flow and lymph flow to that area, which is how we found it's then loosened that tight tissue that pockets around it, help get rid of the toxins that cause the fluids retention. So actually the results have been pretty incredible for women that have strength trained, done all the right things, but you're still holding on to cellulite because it's cold. You can't get the blood flow to that part of the body. So that's how it's been
one of the first things
in that respect.
I noticed when we first got it was how much I felt like my brain was shaking. And then I was thinking, is that Is that good?
Well, question, did you have your legs straight?
Yes.
Yeah, so we always say break the kinetic chain.
Mm-hmm.
So when you stand straight, the vibration will route itself the quickest way out through the body to the head.
Yeah.
So you're instantly going to feel that. All you need to do is then create that slight bend in the knee and then even put a little bit of weight more on the toes and the heels, and you take it out of the head. It's not doing any harm, but for some people it's a kind of a weird feeling. So.
After a few times I realized that I could maybe move myself around, so it's not
well, that
so
we go
violent.
from one extreme to the other. We go from people saying, can't believe it does all these things, and other people say, I can just stand on it and lose weight. And I'm like, you got to do something on it. You know, we can massage, we can passively massage to help with the recovery, but in terms of getting results for strength, you know, developing better muscle tone and, you know, all the sort of fat burning, whatever, you have to do something. So that's when I said you replicate what you do on the ground on the plate, and it's going to accelerate those results in a shorter period of time. But if you just stand there, then your head's going to fill.
Would you say that beginners could use it as well? I mean,
Absolutely.
or is this more of an advance? If you're going to work out, let's say if you're just starting to work out, would it be better to work out on your own, maybe not on a power plate, or is it more maybe beneficial to do it on the plate?
Really beneficial. Elderly, deconditioned individuals, it's perfect for, because one, you're not conditioned to lift heavy weights in order to get those benefits for muscle mass and bone density, for example. So on power plate, you can hold a squat position. You can hold on. With some of our models have handles as well, or you can have it by wall. You can hold on, and you're getting a huge amount of stimulation and muscle activation without having to necessarily move if your knees aren't conditioned to do that or whatever. Also, because it moves in 3 different directions, you're switching on those stabilizers, which are essentially going to, especially if you are overweight or a beginner, going to help protect the joints, etc. So it's perfect for beginners and people that, you know, maybe carrying more weight as well. And then for athletes, you then use it in a different way. You use it to fire up those fast twitch muscle fibers to do more explosive things.
Yeah, do 30 calf raises on that thing and your calves are just burning. But I want to talk a little bit about bone density and really looking at osteoporosis, osteoarthritis. One of the interesting things, I did a trial at OsteoStrong in Los Angeles, and it ruined me. Like, you know, it's kind of that, like, you press against a static plate type of thing. And I did it. And like for 3 months afterwards, I was in pain.
Was it a biodensity?
Yes.
That's Power Plate's that's Performance Health Systems' other product. Yeah.
Well, and you know, so you'd push against this plate like in a leg press machine, but you weren't moving the weight. You were just doing the static thing. And so what I think what we find is that when people who are athletes really go into a situation like that, you know, you can compromise your joints, you can compromise your spine just by thinking, oh, I'm an athlete, I can do more. Whereas this, when we really look at, you know, longevity, when we look at kind of our rule of we want to live to be 150, bone density's got to play into that. Yeah. So what studies have been done on the power plate with bone density outside of just like the muscle fiber component we've been talking about?
Numerous.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of studies. Power plates found a significant increase in bone density. And the reason being the amount of strength training that is required for somebody to cause enough breakdown, trauma to the bone for it to rebuild and become stronger isn't always achievable by the people that need it the most. Think of my grandma, you know, people of that age especially. What power plates enabling them to do is create that degree of trauma and breakdown in a way, like I said, where you can be essentially standing in a squat position, etc., for repeated reps, etc. It's going to create that same amount of overlay and trauma to get that benefit. So it's actually enabling more people that can't do the conventional route required to get the benefits to bone density through using vibration.
This makes me think. So I worked at a senior home when I was in college for 2 years. And I feel like this would be such a great thing to have in a home like that, where people can just go and maybe not do an intense workout, but do something that they know is helping their bones, especially when they're getting up there in age. I mean, I think that'd be great to have.
Totally.
We do a lot in the active aging and elderly communities as well with power plate. And the way you train on it looks very different to what, you know, we're talking about your person in Equinox or an elite athlete would do. But even people that have, you know, I've been to spinal cord injury units in the UK with power plate where people that cannot use their legs, you know, completely paralyzed, we have them on power plates so they can still continue to get blood flow to those areas of the body that are atrophying and, you know, all the rest of it. And some of them do get some reflex response. We work with people with MS as well.
Interesting.
And people with Parkinson's. With Parkinson's, power plate helps stimulate a dopamine response. So it can help when used regularly to help with reducing tremors as well.
That's cool.
So its medical uses are insane.
Is that why I'm so happy when I stand on it?
Makes sense.
And it's been there's a lot of research behind it. I mean, the very first use of power plate was for bone density. So the Russian not power plate, vibration training. This was before power plate was invented, but the Russian cosmonauts used vibration prior to their space expedition back in the, whatever it would have been,
60s,
50s, 60s, whatever it was. And they found that they lost significantly less bone and muscle mass than their American counterparts that hadn't used vibration for at that same period of time. So its very first use was for improving bone density and muscle mass for when you're going to be in this weightless environment for an extended period of time. So that's
cool.
where it was born out of, yeah. And then a Dutch inventor created what's now called power plate, and initially used it with the Dutch Olympic gymnastic team for, that explosive power and ability. And then it's then got all these different iterations. And it is one of those things where, as an educator and someone that's been a part of the company for so long, you have to really target your message. Because if I go to everybody and, say you as an athlete and I tell you all these different benefits, there's probably just some that are relevant to you or that you care about. If I go to someone that's elderly, again, it's different what they care about. So we really have to sort of target our message accordingly. But the truth is it does a hell of a lot.
That's so cool.
It's very true.
So where can people find out about Power Plate? And it sounds like you have a discount available for our listeners.
You go to powerplate.com. www.powerplate.com, and for all of our models, from the TVPs to the larger models, Caroline 20 for 20% off.
We'll put all that in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I know. What I want to know though is how much should I use it as like a warm up or stretching versus doing actual workouts on it? Like can someone work out on the Power Plate 6 days a week, 5 days a week? I mean, what would you maybe recommend?
You can stretch and massage on it every day. And the way I'd work out on it would be, I'd treat it exactly the same as how else if you'd work out. So say, for example, you'd typically strength train 3-4 times a week. You can do that strength-based training on Power Plate 3-4 times a week. You might want to combine it with ground-based or conventional weight. Sometimes we even get our dumbbells and use them on the Power Plate. So then you've got vibration and mass together,
That's so
force
cool.
equals mass times acceleration at the end of the day. So you're adding to both of those components. So with someone that's new to exercise, I'd probably say 3 times a week of actual training. But if you train more, you can certainly do it more.
One of the things I was thinking about, guys, and as you're listening to this, we know that sitting is the new smoking. And with everybody working from home, with everybody more sedentary, one of the things that we've adopted, in our lives is, I'll jump on that like every hour that I'm sitting at the computer. I just hop up and stand on that thing for a couple minutes, shake things out, get the blood flowing, and then go back to, banging away at the keyboard. But, keep in mind, this is a really cool device. I know Jan and I have had some fun with it. You guys are going to get to see some video of us doing some fun things on it. Pull your minds out of the gutter, people.
Not the first time I've heard 2 people say that. But you're doing a program that we already have called the Fit Stop. So when we have a program in some of the machines where it will be in a work environment, and they encourage their workers to get up and go do like 3-minute programs, which you could do in your work attire, and then go back to your desk.
Yeah, it's a really cool machine. So we highly encourage you guys to check it out. We've fallen in love with it. It's definitely something I use it daily.
Yeah, I use it daily too.
It's been part of my life for over 15 years now.
Yeah.
Can we talk politics for a second? Because you're kind of an alien right now.
I'm actually an alien of extraordinary ability is my current title under my O1 visa.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh,
extraordinary
I'm
ability.
considered an alien of extraordinary ability.
What the hell does that mean?
Wow.
It means
is that a compliment? Is it not?
I had to work hard and pay a lot of money to get that title. Yeah. No, it's the O1 visa, which means you have to show that you are extraordinary in your field of work.
Which
debatable,
you are.
But they seem to think I was. So
I think we can.
So I'm I'm here as a UK citizen on a US visa.
Cool. And
cool.
We're hoping to get you here as a permanent
resident,
permanent fixture of this United States of America.
Yeah, I love it. I live in Los Angeles, and it's a pretty cool life. Pretty cool life. But in terms of what's next, did you say?
What's next for you?
Yeah. So our Professional Fighters League season, which is the PFL, is MMA. It's like the UFC, but it's in a true sports format. So it has a regular season, playoffs, and a championship. And the winner of the championship every year wins $1 million in every weight class. Plus, they always get paid to fight. So for the last 2 years, I've been the lead host on ESPN for the PFL. Then COVID hit, and our whole 2020 season was cancelled. So I'm looking forward to us getting going with that again next year. I've been heavily involved in the fitness and app space in the meantime. So I have all my workouts on the Fit On app, which is a free app. You can download and follow along my workout tips and workouts. And I just launched a program called Sculpt actually as well, which is a 7-day weights-based series on a platform called True Connect.
Cool.
So yeah, I've been busy doing all the home workout stuff.
We'll put all of that in the show notes as well so people can follow you as well as your social. I have a question though. So you got on a plane this morning. Thank you so much for doing that because it's been since March since you've flown.
I haven't been on a plane since March. I was so excited to come here.
and we're sorry it had to be to Sacramento.
No, capital of
California.
There you go.
It was so good to see you again.
Yeah,
though,
you guys too.
Oh,
I feel like we could talk forever, but it's been fun.
And we'll do that off air. And if you guys want to tune in for that, we'll do a Facebook Live later.
There you go.
Do they still have those?
I don't even know.
We'll do it.
Yeah, I was doing them through quarantine.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll do a TikTok later.
That I don't do.
I think just one social media is enough. Like I can't even imagine adding I have a Facebook too, but Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, whatever else is out there. I can't even wrap my head.
I looked at TikTok and I went down an hour rabbit hole of watching
cats
flick things off. I was like, oh no.
You get pulled in so far.
Yeah, I haven't done it.
It's an addiction.
Just one is enough, right? Do we need so many?
No.
And now it seems like
I'm
Instagram
too old for TikTok as well. And I don't dance, so I don't know what I'd do.
Right. That's the thing. I feel like it's all dancing. Yeah. But I feel like Instagram's kind of taken on this whole well-round. I feel like they're bringing in
Reels.
Yeah, it's it's a whole comprehensive platform. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just stick over here. One's enough.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm off my soapbox.
Cinnamon. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you so much to Caroline for coming out, for getting on a plane. For explaining power plates and for setting us up with one of those, because that's definitely been a huge part of our training, especially in COVID. Trying
general health,
lymphatic drainage. I think, one thing that we're obviously seeing too is, I'll hop on my soapbox, is the sedentary lifestyle that COVID has created is causing some problems with lymphatic drainage alone. So just to have something like this to offset the movement that a lot of people aren't getting is definitely a benefit.
It's a great way to optimize.
Great home workout solution as well, because you can do everything in one.
And we need that now more than ever. So
yeah, your gym is DEFCON or ground zero for COVID. So I don't know, are gyms open?
In LA, no.
Are they here? Oh, you couldn't pay me to go to a gym.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know.
But you have a home gym.
I have a home gym and I have a power plate.
What else do you
need?
And you guys too, with Caroline 20, can have a power plate at your house.
Exactly.
Caroline, again, so people can follow you on Instagram. We'll put all of your information in the show notes. We'll put all of your free stuff in there, your apps, so people can work out with you. They can, and once they get their power plate, they can work out with you there as well.
Yeah, we have a power plate app too. You can follow along.
Nice.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into another edition of the Complete Human Podcast with your hosts,
Janna Breslin
and Evan DeMarco, under-caffeinated Evan DeMarco.
Yes.
God, I want coffee. This has been an awesome edition with Caroline Pearce. So we'll put all of our information in the show notes. Highly recommend you follow her, work out with her, check her out on, PLF once that comes back.
PFL.
PLF, that's the People's Liberation Foundation.
We could rename them the Professional League of Fighting. But
you know what? We just came up with something here.
Yeah.
It's all's fair in love and COVID. Just shut up.
I think you're trying to.
I'm losing it. I'm losing it.
This is the long goodbye.
Yeah,
the longest.
I'm done.
It's like the friend that won't stop hugging you when you're trying to leave. It's like
that's it. I'm done. We're out. See you next week, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.